Welcome into Outkick the Show, Monday edition. I hope all of you are having fantastic mornings wherever you may be, afternoons, wherever you may be. I've got my Clay Travis for U.S. Senate shirt on. You can go check it out. You can get it at OutkickGear.com. Hope you guys had fantastic weekends. If you respected the picks, you may well have gotten rich. Just telling you, if you respected the picks, you may well have gotten rich. Go to OddsShark for all of your gambling and falling apart here. Go to OddsShark for all your gambling and informational related needs. And remember, I'm telling you right now, if you need a mortgage, wherever you are in the country, if you trust me at all, and you should all trust me with your lives, go to thehomeloanexpert.com, whether you need to get pre-qualified, whether you're just shopping for a home, if you've got a rate in the fours and you need to save money going into the new season, new year, get hooked up now by going to thehomeloanexpert.com. If you've got a rate in the fours, they'll take care of you with a rate in the twos. If you need to refi, thehomeloanexpert.com, mention Clay Travis or mention, I'm telling you, Outkick, and you get a free year subscription to Outkick VIP. Okay, let's go straight into the stories. A little bit of house cleaning information here. Not sure what the Outkick the Show situation is going to be early this week. I am flying early tomorrow morning. I'm doing the radio show from 6 to 9 Eastern, so you can watch that. Sirius XM channel 218, XM channel 202, 250 AM, FM satellite stations. You can download the podcast. I am doing the show, but then I am hopping a flight to LA because I'm going out to LA to do two big podcasts. Tuesday in LA, I'm going to do the Rubin Report, and I'm going to do Adam Carolla. Not sure when those podcasts will officially drop, but I'm traveling out there to do two of the biggest podcasts in the country when it comes to overall listenership. I'm going to double down on both of those. So the Rubin Report and Adam Carolla. So it should be pretty great. So if you guys are fans of those guys, you'll hear me on those shows soon. I will be out of the show on Wednesday. Jason Martin and Jeff Schwartz will host. They will not let me go on Undisputed. I am banned from that show. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But it should be good podcast hits. Should be a lot of fun. We'll go on those. And then we will go, I'll be back on the show on Thursday. So I'm doing the show tomorrow. I'll be off Wednesday. I'll be in LA. I'm traveling. I'm only going to be in LA for 24 hours. It's going to be 100 degrees. May be able to go to the Dodgers game, World Series against the Astros. Not sure. But I'm just going to be traveling for one day. So I'll be out. So I'm not sure. Tomorrow we will not have an Outkick the Show, I don't believe. And Wednesday we may have an early one because I'll be traveling back cross country. So just an FYI for your planning purposes. So make sure you download the podcast. Want to start? Did you guys watch the games this weekend? Hopefully you did. Hopefully you bet on the games that I told you to bet on, because if you did, you got rich. I had the best gambling weekend of my life. Best gambling weekend of my absolute life. I hit a couple of different parlays. I gave you those parlays on the Saturday morning college football show. I said take Penn State in the over. I said take Bama to cover. And I said take Syracuse to cover. If you took those four and parlayed them all together, like I said, you made yourself a lot of money. So hopefully you guys did that. And I hope you made some money. But let's start here. Tennessee and Arkansas were totally demolished by Alabama and Auburn, respectively. There's nobody with a functional brain that can still argue in any way that right now either Brett Bielema or Butch Jones need to actually end up being employed. Okay? If that is in fact true, that they are still employed, more than I don't even want to talk about why they're awful. I don't even want to talk about why they're awful. Mike Riley, same thing at Nebraska. Think about this situation. If I had told you in 1997, when Tennessee was playing Nebraska down in, I believe it was the Orange Bowl, and Nebraska won the national championship there to finish off Tom Osborne's time as a coach with a split national championship with Michigan. If I had told you in 1997, guys, 20 years from now, almost to the day, in 2017, Nebraska is going to be a touchdown underdog on the road at Purdue, and Tennessee is going to be nearly a touchdown underdog when we go on the road. All right, hold on a sec. Who do I need to block? Who do I need to block? I haven't been reading the comments. Who do I need to block? What's the guy's name? You got to tell me the guy's name. If you want me to block somebody, you have to tell me who it is. You have to tell. It doesn't help to say block this guy. You need to tell me who it is because I'm not reading the story. I'm not reading the comments. So suddenly when people are like, block this guy, you have to tell me who it is. You have to tell me who you want me to block, and then I will be able to do it. I don't know, again, who is it? Who is the person? Like, you guys are complaining, but you're not telling me who it is. So I don't know who it is. You guys need to be better. You got to be better. I have no idea. All right, I think if that is the situation, I don't know. And frankly, I think that in general, you have to tell me who it is. You have to tell me who it is if you want somebody blocked. Because frankly, I don't really read dimensions. Unless I'm seeking an opinion, I'm not sitting here very often reading dimensions. I've told you guys this guys before. So I don't sit here and pay attention to what people are saying. Like, you guys who want to read dimensions, that's fine. But I don't really pay much attention to it. So my point is, if in 1997 I had told you that Purdue was going to be a touchdown favorite over everybody over Nebraska, and if I had told you that there was going to be a situation where Tennessee was going to be nearly a touchdown underdog to Kentucky, you never would have believed it was possible. That is where we are. Now, I have said that the truth of the matter is this. In general, I think Tennessee's in a much better position than Nebraska because Nebraska made the bad decision that they were going to go out and, all right, hold on. Some of you motherfuckers are just starting to annoy me now, all right? I am going to block everybody who comes in here for a while, and I'm contemplating turning off the comments in a second. A lot of you are not useful. Here's the deal with comments. I don't want random bullshit to be commented on, all right? You guys started getting me to read these, and they're awful, okay? I don't fucking care about your comments. By and large, most of them are not very useful. I can turn them off, and the audience is not going to change at all, okay? If you are not making things better in the show, then I can just turn them off. That's the truth. And I'm very close to killing the comments. This is the truth. You're not helping off at all. You're not in any way useful. You know what? People are actually asking for me to turn them off. Let's see if I can turn them off. Broadcast details. Let's see. I can hide chat. Now, I don't see the comments at all. They're all gone on my screen. They have absolutely zero impact. Can you guys actually see these comments? I'm going to turn them back on. When I was asking that question, so can you guys actually see the comments when I turn them off? Now they're back. Now they're back. Now they're back. Okay, so I can turn them off. All right. Boom. You're gone. All the chats are gone. You know what? Maybe this is what I'm going to have to do to teach a lesson about the lack of usefulness of the comments in general. Do people actually enjoy the comments? You can tweet me whether or not you like the actual comments. I don't hear very much positivity associated with the comments. All I ever hear is people complaining about wanting the comments blocked. The screen is clear. I'm here. I'm gorgeous. You see my whole face. There's nothing to distract you with the comments. You can tweet me and let me know what you think about the comments. I can turn them back on if I actually want to see them or if I want to take comments. This is maybe a new move here. Haven't ever turned the comments off before, but I'm kind of liking it, actually. Okay, so let's talk about Tennessee and Nebraska. The reason why I think that Tennessee and Nebraska are interesting is because they're huge powers in the 1990s that have since fallen apart. And why have they fallen apart? They've fallen apart because Nebraska, I believe, has made bad coaching decisions, and certainly Tennessee has. But Nebraska has more of a fundamental issue. Where are their recruits going to come from? They cut themselves off from Oklahoma and from Texas which means they can't easily go south. They have no recruits within the general vicinity of the state that can lead to a championship. The lazy people say, oh, Tennessee doesn't have a great recruiting base. Actually, Tennessee has one of the best recruiting bases in the entire nation. If you draw a 4-hour circle around Knoxville, you hit Charlotte, Atlanta, and Nashville. You can win a national championship only recruiting within 4 hours of the city of Knoxville. You cannot win the Western Division in the Big Ten only recruiting players within a 4-hour circle of Lincoln, Nebraska. So, Tennessee saying they don't have great recruits is a really lazy perspective. There are tons of great recruits before you even get down into Florida, before you even consider Alabama, before you even get to Memphis, before you consider other parts of Georgia, before you contemplate Kentucky, before you get into Virginia. There are tons of great recruits not far from the University of Tennessee's campus. But in a 4-hour window, you can win a national championship, and you can do it easily. So I think it's time. Obviously, I'm not even going to talk about whether or not Butch Jones should be fired. I think it makes absolute sense to fire Butch Jones. So who do you replace him with? Who do you go out and replace Butch Jones with? I think it's a fascinating question. You've got UT, Arkansas, and Nebraska all going to be hiring people. I like to think when I talk about recruiting success stories, I like to think about things from the top perspective, like what are the best options, the ceiling, and also think about it as the floor. What is the best and what's the worst? Let's start with Tennessee. To me, the best you can do is John Gruden. I don't know what's going to happen with John Gruden, but I'm told that Tennessee's putting a lot of money on the table. If I were putting the money on the table like Tennessee is reportedly doing, I would start with John Gruden. Stop 2 would be James Franklin. Stop 3 would be Chip Kelly. Stop 4 would be Bob Stoops. And stop 5, honestly, I think Dan Mullen is the floor. I think you could win at a high level. I think you would have absolutely zero issues for years to come. I have zero doubt that Dan Mullen could be hired at Tennessee and wouldn't be a complete disaster. I think that's a play you could make at Tennessee. So I think the ceiling is John Gruden. I think the floor basically is Dan Mullen. I think Tennessee could get Dan Mullen. Now, how good would Dan Mullen be? I think he'd be okay. I think he'd be much better than what they have now. He's been to 8 straight bowl games at Mississippi State. Tennessee is an infinitely better program than Mississippi State. I don't think there's any doubt that he would do fairly well there. Why would James Franklin come coach at Tennessee? I haven't turned the comments off on Facebook. It would just be a decision that he thinks it's better. Honestly, his family likes being in the SEC. I don't necessarily think he would come, but I'm not of the opinion that getting rejected by a highly sought-after candidate actually hurts in any way. And by the way, fire away with the share button if you're enjoying the show on Outkick on Facebook. You can also share, I believe, on Periscope. So I don't think he would come, but unlike most people out there, I don't think it's an insult to get turned down by somebody who's actually really talented. I always use my girl at the bar strategy. What's the worst case scenario if the hottest girl doesn't go home with you? The exact same scenario that you had before. You're not going home with the hot girl. So I don't, like everybody's like, all these ADs are like, oh, we can't get rejected by so-and-so. I'm like, what are you talking about? Why do I care if I get rejected? Like, there's absolutely nothing to be afraid of if you get rejected by a highly sought-after candidate. So that's step 1, okay? I think that's Tennessee. Ceiling for Nebraska. I think the ceiling for Nebraska, honestly, would be a guy like Mike Leach. I love Mike Leach. I think Mike Leach would come to Nebraska. I think he would be really entertaining, and I think he would be wildly successful relative to past expectations. I think he could win the Big Ten West 2 out of every 6 years, right? 1 out of every 3, however you want to classify it. I don't think you're going to get an incredible coach to come to Nebraska. Now, maybe I should say the ceiling. Let me take a step back. I think the ceiling for Nebraska is Chip Kelly. I think it's possible that you could get Chip Kelly to come to Nebraska. I think it's possible. I don't think it's probable, but I think it's possible, okay? I think you can get Chip Kelly. I think a more realistic hire is either Mike Leach or Scott Frost. And by the way, I wouldn't have an issue with Scott Frost at Tennessee. I just think he's fairly far down the list. I think that Scott Frost could be the savior of Nebraska. I think you have to run a schematic advantage. Why do I use those guys, those 3 names for Nebraska? Tennessee, you can go out and hire any coach and run any offensive system and win, I think, at a high level because the recruits are still there. I think Nebraska needs a schematic advantage like they had when they ran the wishbone back in the day. They need to find something that they do better than everybody else because they don't have the recruiting base that everybody else has. So you need schematically to create mismatch. That's why I like Chip Kelly, Scott Frost, and also why I like Mike Leach. I think all three of those guys would be good. I think all three of those you could get. I love the Nebraska situation. I think they're all infinitely better than Mike Riley, and I think they'll do well there. Okay, let's talk about Arkansas. Arkansas is really an interesting position to me. Now, Razorback fans got mad when I said I didn't believe in Brett Bielema after about a year, and the reason I didn't believe in Brett Bielema was he runs a pro-style offense in the same division where at the time LSU and Alabama were also running pro-style offenses. And the problem there was they were running pro-style offenses with better players than Brett Bielema was going to have. So in order for Brett Bielema to win against LSU and Alabama consistently, two things had to happen. One, he had to get lucky and get players that ended up being better than the players that were being recruited by Alabama and LSU. And two, he had to then outcoach Nick Saban and Les Miles. And the odds of that ever happening were low. So the reason why I loved Bobby Petrino at Arkansas was because he had a schematic advantage. Okay? Because he had the ability with his offense to do things that other people couldn't do. So I think Arkansas is in a similar position to Nebraska in that they need a schematic advantage. Arkansas does not produce that many athletes. Yes, you can go get some in Memphis, but you're still a long way from Fayetteville. Yes, you can go down to Texas and get some good people, but Texas A&M, Alabama, Auburn, LSU, they're always going to have better players than you. Probably Ole Miss too, to be honest, because there's a lot better players in Mississippi than there are Arkansas. So you have to find somebody who's better in some way than those coaches in order to win at a high level. Here's the guy that I would hire in a heartbeat if I was Arkansas right now. Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin, you get Kendall Briles with him right now as his offensive coordinator, which means basically you're running Art Briles' system with Lane Kiffin's recruiting. I would, in a heartbeat, go get Lane Kiffin. He's divorced. You don't have to worry about anything with the girl bombs right now. If I were Arkansas's AD, I would go hire Lane Kiffin in a heartbeat. You know he knows the SEC West well. His dad actually used to work at Arkansas. He spent some time in Fayetteville when he was a kid. I think he'd be open and receptive to the idea. I think there's a possibility, guys, that you could have a situation where you get Lane Kiffin in and you actually end up better. Here's an example for you. I think Tennessee could hire Dan Mullen, and I think Mississippi State could end up hiring Lane Kiffin, and I think Mississippi State would get a better coach than Tennessee did getting Dan Mullen. I would be fine with bringing Lane Kiffin back to Tennessee if there wasn't all that water under the bridge already that's created too much of a mess. It's possible that Arkansas could end up in the best situation of any of the SEC programs trying to hire a new coach if they could go get Lane Kiffin. Hell, if I were Auburn and I was done with Gus Malzahn, if he loses, let's say, the game to Alabama and he also loses to Georgia and you decide 8-4 is not good enough, I'd go hire Lane Kiffin just to mess things up in the state of Alabama. But if I were Arkansas, I would go get Lane Kiffin. Look at what he's doing at FAU right now. Guys, he scored 69 points. Well done there. 69 points and scored on 11 straight possessions against North Texas, second best team in Conference USA. He's going on the road against Western Kentucky this week, and the line has moved. I saw it open on BetOnline at plus 1.5. FAU was a 1.5 point underdog. They are now a 7-point favorite in this game. I've never seen money come in like this on a team before. Everybody is all in on Lane Kiffin and how much they're loving what he's doing down at Conference USA. He's going to win the conference for FAU his first year there after they were 3-9 last year because he is an incredible coach. He's running Kendall Briles' Baylor offense combined with everything that he already does on the offensive side of the ball. I just think it's a home run hire for Arkansas. I absolutely love it. I don't know if they'll listen to me. I don't know if they'll make the smart decision, but I think that is absolutely the most brilliant thing that Arkansas could do. It would finally reunite the fan base at Arkansas. I'd be fine with him coming to Tennessee. Hell, I'd be fine with him going to Nebraska. I think Lane Kiffin has learned a lot. How many people at USC right now would rather have Lane Kiffin than they would Clay Helton and T. Martin, what they've got right now? I think that's a no-brainer. I love that idea. Okay. If you're on the Periscope, you may notice that I've turned the comments off. We had to turn him off. You guys didn't deserve it. I'll bring him back on for questions at the end during the course of the situation. The show, it doesn't make sense. All right, a couple of other things I want to hit. Jim Harbaugh. I think Jim Harbaugh is the most wildly overrated coach in the history of college football. Got his ass kicked by James Franklin and Penn State this past weekend. He is now 6-5 in his last 11 games. Do you know who else is 6-5 in his last 11 games? Butch Jones. Do you know who else on top of that is not anywhere near 6-5 in his last 11 games? Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer has lost 5 games in the past 4 years. So has Nick Saban. So in the space of less than a year's worth of games, Jim Harbaugh has lost more than Nick Saban or Urban Meyer did in 4 years at the helm of their schools. And for everybody out there who's a Michigan fan talking about the officials are against us, we're a really young team, Urban Meyer and Nick Saban both took over losing teams and won national championships by year 3 at Ohio State and Alabama. Urban Meyer also won a national championship at Florida in year 2. Jim Harbaugh in year 3 at Michigan is going to go 8-4. Most overrated coach in the history of college football. Oh, his satellite camps. Oh, he takes his crew overseas to Italy for a camp. Yeah, he's entertaining. Oh, he wears the same pair of khaki pants. Oh, he likes milk. You know what else he does? Likes getting his ass kicked by his rivals. He's 1-4 against Michigan State and Ohio State. And right now, Ohio State is projected to be a double-digit favorite on the road in Ann Arbor this year. Probably going to move to 1-5. As he heads into year 4 at Michigan, he's going to be 1-5 against his rivals. That ain't good, boys and girls. Most overrated coach. He's finished back-to-back years tied for 3rd in the Big Ten East. This year, he's likely to finish 4th in the Big Ten East. He's the 4th best coach in his own division. I would rank them thusly. Urban Meyer, James Franklin, Mark D'Antonio, even with the bad year last year. He's 2-1 against Harbaugh and Jim Harbaugh. 4th best coach in his own division. Did you guys see this? I'm disappointed that they did it. I am not employed by Fox Sports anymore. I have a Fox Sports radio show, but I'm not employed by them. And so I do not pull punches on giving you my opinion about anybody in the world of media, anybody in the world of athletics. Today on Undisputed, they put Jesse Jackson on. Jesse Jackson proceeded to say all sorts of ridiculous things, but on MSFS1, he said there was no real difference between the players now, seriously, he said this, and the pro athletes now and slaves picking cotton. He really said this. And FS1 really put him on television to allow him to say it. It's one of the most ludicrous things I've ever seen. I would have crushed ESPN if they put Jesse Jackson on. I don't know what FS1's thinking. I think FS1 is making a really bad decision. I have rightfully crushed MSESPN for all of the left-wing absurdity that they have embraced. And now FS1 has put on 6 straight hours of crappy morning television, starting with a crappy show that nobody's watching with Chris Carter on it, and leading up to and including Shannon Sharp, who may be the most lying, least intelligent, attacked 10 different women. 10 different complaints have been filed against him by women. He's the Harvey Weinstein of sports. 10 different complaints filed against him for women, for stalking, for domestic abuse, for all sorts of assault. All of these things filed against him. You can go read the court complaints, yet he has a job. Skip Bayless, who has absolutely no intelligence on anything, and they're pale approximations of ESPN shows. So the analogy that I tweeted out earlier was FS1 has a clear opportunity to distinguish itself for reasonable sports fans who are in the middle and just want sports. Maybe they lean a little bit right, maybe they lean a little bit left, maybe they're conservative, but they don't want to be told all day long that Colin Kaepernick's a hero, that Caitlyn Jenner is amazing because she decided to become a woman, that Colin Kaepernick is the Rosa Parks of modern day football. All of this absurdity, that Michael Sam is the modern day Jackie Robinson because he likes to have sex with dudes. You had a huge opportunity to brand yourself as the alternative like Fox News did back in the day when everybody else out there is going far left wing. They had an opportunity to be reasonable. And instead, they have decided to become a mini ESPN. They have decided, I mean this honestly, they have decided that having seen ESPN hit the iceberg and the ESPN Titanic sinking, taking on water, people diving into the icy cold waters, they're laying off hundreds of people. FS1 watched ESPN hit the iceberg, watched the Titanic sink, and then the brain trust at FS1 says, you know what we should be doing? We should be putting Jesse Jackson on television to compare modern-day multi-million-dollar pro athletes to slaves who pick cotton. We should allow him to come on, and we should have Skip Bayless say that the only good thing Donald Trump has done for the country so far is unite black people on Twitter in hating him. This is the decision that FS1 made when they saw that ESPN was tanking, when they saw that they had hit an iceberg and that everybody was drowning on the good ship ESPN. They followed the same damn path and are hitting the same damn iceberg. It's the dumbest business decision I have ever seen in my life. And this is not anything I haven't said privately. I've said it privately. I'll say it publicly now. I think it's total idiocy. Whoever made the decision to put Jesse Jackson on, it's tantamount to doing the exact same thing that ESPN did. They're going to hit the iceberg. They're going to get crushed. The ratings are already crap. Instead of, the other analogy I've used is, you've got a situation where you've created a huge hole. I've created a huge opportunity, billion-dollar opportunity for FS1 or NBC or CBS or anybody else who wants to exploit it, who has billions of dollars to spend by ridiculing the stupidity of ESPN's decision. And instead of running towards the open field and scoring touchdowns, they are deciding to run the same damn offensive plays and run right into the line of scrimmage and gain no yards over and over again. One company hit the Titanic and the Titanic hit an iceberg, and I'll be damned if the next ships aren't just coming right along and hitting the same damn iceberg. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. At least when ESPN hit the iceberg, you could say, hey, we didn't know the iceberg was there. Now all these other companies have seen ESPN tank. They're aware of their business collapsing, and it's safer, I guess they decide, to hit the same damn iceberg than just to avoid the iceberg and save your company. I don't understand it. Seems like the dumbest decision you could possibly make, but yet there we are making the same decision. ESPN meet FS1. I don't know what they're thinking putting Shannon Sharp, serial woman abuser, on television. I don't know what they're thinking letting Shannon Sharp drive the agenda of a network. I don't know what they're thinking putting Jesse Jackson on to talk about Colin Kaepernick. I'm not opposed to Jesse Jackson coming on. I think I had him on my radio show at the Super Bowl one year. But when he's on with you, you know this, I'll question people if they say something dumb. When he says pro athletes in basketball and football nowadays are the same as slaves picking cotton back in the day, somebody's got to call him on that bullshit. Nobody did. Shouldn't have him on to begin with if you're going to allow him to just tee off on Trump and on this entire situation. It ain't like Jesse Jackson is a moral authority. Go look at the stuff he was into back in the day. He lied about Martin Luther King. Go read about everything about Martin Luther King's assassination. This dude is a fraud of the highest order, highest magnitude, and to allow him on, again, it's the same thing as hitting the iceberg all over again. All right, polar bears. Polar bears have taken over a village in Russia, and there are 20 of them that are holding everybody in the village hostage. And I got to say, this is maybe the most terrifying Animal Thunderdome story I've ever seen. Got to get out there and kill all the polar bears. I understand they're endangered. I understand they're rare. But if they're keeping a village held hostage, you got to wipe them out. We need the predator of the Rambo of polar bear killers. All right, I am going to now, let's see if I can do it. I'm going to now turn the chat back on, and I will answer a couple of your questions. The chat is back working. You should be able to see it. There we go. The chat is back. The comments didn't turn off for viewers, just for me. Well, I think they will turn off for everybody else. I think they will turn out everybody else. The chat never went away. Well, then maybe I need to turn it off. All right, hold on. How do I turn the chat off? I'm going to have to go into broadcast details. I'm going to figure it out. Everybody on the chat is in timeouts. All right, I love all of you. I appreciate all of you except for the idiots who've been commenting. You need to now be able to be vanished. I am Clay Travis. Thank you for spending your Monday with me. I'm off to LA to go do the Rubin Report and also to go do Adam Carolla's podcast. I will see you. My name is Clay Travis. Don't be a pussy. Go buy your Clay Travis for Senate shirts, and you will be glad that you did. I love all of you. I decided not to do questions. It's already been 30 minutes. This is Outkick the Show.